Hi, my name's Mark. I'm one of the pastors here at Trillium. You may have heard of something called the final solution. It was the Nazi program developed in the early 1940s to eradicate the Jewish population of Europe. You see, when Hitler came to power in 1933, he did it in part on the hostility against the Jews. It started off small, bullying, threats, that sort of thing. Then it escalated up to shuttering businesses and denying professional standing. And then it moved to emigration, trying to force the Jewish people out of Germany. Finally, it turned to mass shootings and then moving mass populations to the extermination camps like Auschwitz. And in the process, 6 million Jews were murdered. Final solution was a euphemism, so as not to arouse the concern of the German people as a whole. And yet, in that euphemism, there is the call to mass murder. You know, we see a lot of final solutions in life. It's part of the way that we arm our hostility and our anger and our rage and our discomfort, our disease, and turn against others. I mean, Hitler wouldn't have risen to power in 1933 if it hadn't been for the Great Depression. The Great Depression came upon the scene and it opened up that angst of the German people and worrying about their future that allowed Hitler to harness it and then use it as a weapon against the Jews and others too, for that matter. You know, it's interesting, the Depression was worse in Germany because of the Versailles Treaty that ended World War I. You see, at the Versailles Treaty, Germany was made to take the full blame for the World War I. And they had to make these huge reparations to the Allies to pay off the World War I costs. So that when the Depression came on the scene, Germany had no reserves like other nations in the world, and the Depression hit even harder there than anywhere else. You know, historians aren't even sure how World War I really got going. There's certainly no single cause, and all the major nations of Europe are to blame for the movement to war in World War I. Then only one nation paid the price of that, and that's Germany. And you can imagine it built a huge resentment in the German people during the 1920s, and voila, we get Hitler in 1933. And in the early 1940s, we get the final solution, as I say, the eradication of the Jewish population of Europe. You know, in a sense, Jesus underwent a final solution too. You know, in our faith, we understand Jesus as the open arms of God coming to us in perfect love. And what do? We take our anger and our hatred and our frustration with God and with life, and we turn it into a weapon and we use it against him and we put him on a cross. You know, it's interesting that the cross was a symbol of death in the ancient world, not life. We've lived under 2,000 years of the history of Christian faith, and the cross has been transformed, but in the ancient world, the cross was the symbol of death. It was the symbol of the final solution in its ultimate sense. In 80 BC, the Romans took 5,000 slaves who were part of their Spartacus insurrection, and they crucified them from the battle site all the way to the city of Rome as a warning, as a signal to the final solution. They armed their hostility and anger against the slave insurrection and put people on the cross in huge numbers as a warning and as a symbol. In our Christian faith, we believe that there is no final solution we're called to, but we are called to make a final step in the practice of forgiveness. It's called loving your enemy, blessing your enemy. Jesus puts it this way: love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who hurt you. If someone slaps you on the cheek, offer the other cheek also. If someone demands your coat, offer your shirt also. Give to anyone who asks, and when things are taken away from you, don't try to get them back. Do to others as you would like them to do to you. You know, we live in this kind for kind world. Kind of comes out of that deep grudge that's within us. That kind for kind world says hatred for hatred and love for love, but Jesus asks us to intercede and break the pattern of kind for kind. And that's done through forgiveness. And through forgiveness, we get the power to bless our enemies, to love those who hate us, and to offer life to those who would have us cease. And I think it seems to me that, you know, on the cross, God turned the other cheek in a sense. Instead of producing another cross, as kind for kind living would have it be, there's the empty tomb. Instead of death, there is life. Instead of the hard fist, there's the open hand.